Okay, good. All right. For some reason,
Sure. I brought some.
What are you saying?
You can have it. That's a trouble.
sorry for my tardiness. We will call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee DeBoer? Here. Trutchell?
Here.
Pfeiffer?
Here.
President Vanderstill?
I'm here.
Trustee Wallschlager? Here. Connor?
Here.
Alquist?
Here.
If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Wallschlager.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If there is anybody here that would like to speak in public comments, please feel free to step towards the podium. If there's more than one, you can just form a line. Is there anybody on Zoom? There's no one on Zoom, so last call for anyone in the room if you'd like to speak in public comments. Okay. Our first item on the agenda is a consideration of the village board minutes from the December 11th, 2023 meeting.
Make a motion to approve the village minutes of December 11th, 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the board minutes from the December 11th, 2023 meeting. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Abstain.
That motion is carried. You have the abstention. The next item we have are items related to vouchers and permits. Before we get to the total item of vouchers, we have a consideration of contractor's application for payment for Wolf Paving in the amount of $31,078.50.
Good evening. Wolf Paving is seeking payment number 4 for this is for the epoxy and restoration at Nixon Park. This will be the last payment. All we will hold will be the retainage for the 2023 paving project, and we have a year for that warranty work. Staff is recommending payment to Wolf Paving Incorporated for the sum of $31,078.50.
Make a motion to approve the payment to Wolf Paving, $31,078.50.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payment to Wolf Paving in the amount of $31,078.50. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. We now have a consideration of the vouchers for payments in the amount of $702,299.26.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers in the amount of $702,299.26.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payment of vouchers in the amount of $702,299.26. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we will get into items that were referred from the December 5th, 2023 and January 2nd, 2024 Park and Recreation Board meetings. The first item that we will get into is discussion and consideration of special events. This is for Trailtessa Retreat. Ice Age Trail Alliance is involved in this, and they also are requesting to waive the fees.
Yes, good evening. We have a request that came from the Ice Age Trail Alliance to host here in Hartland their Trailtessa Retreat. That is a program that engages women and girls in nature. So they're looking to utilize Cottonwood Wayside. They will be serving some light refreshments and snacks. They would hike and then come back up. There would be the option to stay a little bit longer and watch the sunset from there. They are requesting additional picnic tables. We typically have about 6 up there. They've asked for 10 or 12. They would bring their own pop-up tents and no stakes. And then they were hoping to coordinate a portable restroom. The village is planning to have a portable restroom up there this summer to encourage shelter reservations. So I don't think they would need an additional portable restroom since there's only 50 people anticipated in being at this event. They are going to be charging a small registration fee for participants to cover the cost of the event for them. And they are asking to have the fees waived. It's a pretty small parking lot up there, but they are working with Dorner to have additional spaces for parking. That's right next door there. This has been approved and recommended by the park board to move forward. It's on Friday, June 21st. Setup starts at 5, and they're anticipating the event to end around 9 p.m.
We did discuss about the waiver of the fees, and because it's a nonprofit status, we allowed that.
And suggested it,
Yeah.
that the village board did.
I'd make a motion that we approve the special events for Trailtessa Retreat for Ice Age Trail Alliance with fees waived.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Trailtessa Retreat on the Ice Age, and the Ice Age Trail Alliance's request to waive fees. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have a consideration of a food vendor application for Little Dippers. Do you want them to-
Yes, so we have Tanya here tonight. She's going to speak about bringing an ice cream cart, non-motorized, to Nixon Park this summer.
You. So, as you know, I have Little Dipper's Little Ice Cream Shop just up the way. Some people had suggested last summer that I get a cart to move it, to take it through the park. So I'm seeking approval of this little motorized cart. It is named Christopher Walkin because I plan to walk that cedar crest all over town. Only to Nixon Park upon your approval. It would be actually, I think I modified the hours based on a couple of comments from the park board, but it would be Wednesday nights and Thursday nights, and then Wednesday afternoons, and one other day in the week during the daytime slot, 11 to 1-ish, weather permitting.
Wednesday and Saturday is what you had on here.
Thank you, yeah. And that's just based on traffic that I pulled from the Google. What questions do you have for me?
I have a couple, just in, with you specifying those days and times, is that, do you really want to leave it pending, let's say the board were to approve it, do you want to leave it to just those days and times, considering there may be other times where there's things going on in the park?
I'd prefer to open it up, but I also want to respect other things that are
Okay,
going
I
on.
just wanted
in
to
the park.
ask so that the board knows, you know, ahead of time.
Yeah, if I could be down there as much as possible, that'd be great, but I also realize there's other things
Sure.
to consider.
How would that work then? I mean, if there's,
Well, this is a request that's outside of what we've it's not outside of what we've dealt with before, but this is the first time that someone's coming for, however we consider it, but let's say a food cart, but it's an actual business inside of Hartland. Everything we've run into up until now, other than even a business in Hartland having something in their parking lot, that typically isn't a business from
Running is
Hartland.
great, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, this is the first time the board, so I look at this is you almost look at it as a one-off on what do we want to do, because it's a Hartland business that's coming forward saying, I want to be able to go and extend.
well, right,
my
I
business.
just wanted to clarify, because if it was me going down, I'd want to know, well, I know so-and-so is going to be down there, they have, like, the schools go to the splash pad a lot,
Right.
and there's a bunch of stuff during the summer that I would want to go down there if I had, you know, the time to get down there. So would she need to call the village ahead of time to ask if it's okay, so that there's not somebody else? I don't know. I don't know.
Right, right.
I just don't want you to waste your time either.
And I think you're onto something there. I do. I think these are the times that we're saying, like, this is what you'd like to be serving your ice cream down in the park. And I think that calling, checking with rec the day before, a week before, whatever the case may be,
Outside of these times.
outside of these times to get permission, I think we'd have the ability to say that's all right as long as you check and make sure that there's no conflict.
Sure.
Yeah, and I try to think of what's the best way to alleviate that conflict. But if someone were to get a special events permit inside of the park, and you're only looking to sell inside of the park, correct? If someone were to get a special events permit, I feel like it does provide us coverage. Obviously, I'm thinking of, let's go, they do it in the street now, but when the Chamber of Commerce was doing the party in the park,
Right.
as opposed to the street dance, if they were having something and they were having their members, and I believe you're a member anyway, but it would almost go through them on whether the permission would be granted as opposed to just having to call the village, because it's like, hey, they're the ones that got the permit for the time in the park, or even, let's say, the village board hosts I'm making this up completely. Yeah, let's say we have hometown celebration. Would this permit cover that? You'd have to get permission from the village that during their event, because they basically, we own the park, so this is gonna, but when someone has a permit, they kind of own that
Sure.
time.
Is there a place where that schedule is listed? Is that something you manage, Sarah? Okay,
I can help with that.
thank you.
Well, that's what I was
Sounds like I'm
thinking.
gonna
We
need
have, Hartland Kids Day, there's certain events like that, Hartland Kids Day, I think it's a Wednesday, but if something was on a Tuesday and there's no other vendors, Sarah would be able to.
Yeah, I would say if there's an event that you want to attend, because a lot of them have food vendors, the big events in the park, I would recommend that you're connecting with them, filling out the proper paperwork. I feel like this annual fee would cover if she wanted to be a food vendor at another event, with the exception of a fee that another organization might be charging in addition to the village fees. That would probably be something you'd still have to pay if you wanted to participate in somebody else's event. But that would be my
Even-
thoughts.
They have the Bark River Bash. I know sometimes, but this year it's gonna be warm for that. But sometimes it's a little bit cool. But as he sits next to people that are about to come up forward for an event that is extremely cold. I think they're the winners there. I'm pretty sure, because I was down there. But I'm not sure what problems we would run into. I think the only problem that we could run into would be if someone had a permit and got their own food trucks. I guess I'm just trying to think of anything that we would run into, but I can't anticipate that even if you went down there and someone's like, hey, we already have food trucks, we don't want you here. I don't anticipate that happening. I'm saying if someone said that, then it would be, I don't know what we'd do about that. But I do think this is a good thing that the businesses in Hartland make the money in Hartland. In fact, for the spirit of the entirety of the reason that we came up with any type of a food truck or food cart law or ordinance in Hartland was to make sure that it is Hartland businesses is where traffic is being directed, not somebody that just comes in and says, hey, oh yeah, I'm just gonna come into Hartland every Thursday night and Saturday night, and I'll take all that money and then I'll leave, and you won't see me spending it here, but then I'll come back next year. We don't wanna see that. The rest of the world may be there. Hartland is not there yet.
So most special events are known a month in advance in the
Or
park,
more.
right? Or more.
Yep.
So I mean, as long as Tanya is in communication with Sarah and looking ahead at the monthly calendar ahead.
Of course.
And knowing that if there is a conflict, Sarah can point that out. And
90% of what I'm saying here is for police chief, because I could put them in a bad spot if there was a special event. The only reason I was bringing all that
Right.
up, and all of a sudden they're having to decide, and I can guarantee you chief is not wanting to decide to say, hey, you have a permit. What I'm leading up to is if we just open it up and say, you're open unless it's special event permit where someone else has the park, that you, and the board may say no to that, but then it makes it much easier where you don't have so much of a time restraint. Maybe on a Saturday, Tanya says, you know what, it's gonna be 98 degrees. I'm gonna go and make sure that people don't have to walk all the way to Little Dippers and they can stay close to the splash pad. You know what I mean?
I have a policy question. Tanya mentioned at the park board meeting that if the Nixon Park was successful, she was thinking that maybe, you know, if there's a doubleheader over at Centennial Park, she might go over to Centennial Park. So my question is, the $150 fee that she paid, or will be paying, is that just good for Nixon, or is that good for all parks? I mean, that's a point of clarification, I guess, is what I'm looking for.
I mean, you know my answer. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I want to bring it to
I don't know
our
what the
attention
board
now.
would say is where I'm going at. I'd like to see the businesses in Hartland making money.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to clarify it now, so that if that happens, then.
Yeah, so she
no
would
one's
come
gonna
back to us and change her plan of operations to go to a different park, because this is for Nixon only, unless you approved it for elsewhere. But as an example with this, most of our food, the one food truck annual license we had was for that location, but it could be any food truck. This is a different one. I would say it would be one food vendor for, because again, if she went to Centennial on a Wednesday, she can't also be at Nixon that same Wednesday. If she had a second cart at that point, maybe you would have it be second fee.
If she had a second cart. Yes. But what if she had the same cart there in the afternoon and then was at Nixon in the evening? No, that's.
I get it.
No, I'm just,
No.
these are, I know it seems crazy,
I like
but
you're
we
seeing,
get into
you're seeing a
these,
future for this thing in
we
my
get into these
business.
things because we're trying to make sure.
What would that cart name be? Conan the Barbarian?
We'll have to come up with something though.
But while we're dealing with, if it's only one cart, I mean, I'm fine with, I personally, I can't speak for the whole board. They have to vote on this, but I'm fine with it being multiple parks. I don't know if the park board even addressed that.
No, not
So-
as far as fee goes. Yeah, that's why I brought it up here. I mean, maybe it'll only, maybe.
I think
she'll
we'd have
only
to
do
start with Nixon,
this
it's gotta go back through park.
year. That's fine.
It's gotta go back through park board. I personally am fine with it being at, I'm fine with it being at, any of the parks. If there was a doubleheader and if there's things like that, or something else, you know,
I would too.
you know.
And I also would like to see it opened up for hours outside of what's being proposed, barring a special event that's already permitted to be in the park. I think it's a great offering, and I think the children are gonna have a blast with this, and the parents are gonna be cursing at you every day. But,
The dentists will like you.
no, it's fantastic. I'll make a motion that we approve this, and I think I'd like to approve it with hours open throughout the course of the week and weekend, unless there's a special events permit that's already in place.
And allowed at other parks?
And allowed at other parks with one cart for that fee, and if she adds carts in the future, then that's addressed. That's
To
fine.
coordinate with Sarah.
Yeah.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve that Little Dippers, which has a physical location business in Hartland at 230 Pauling Avenue, would be allowed to take an ice cream cart, to sell ice cream and other goods from their business, into the parks. And currently it is just the one cart, it's not multiple locations. Am I missing anything as part of that motion? And that the times are opened up, barring if there is a special events permit, they have the say for that location. You know, if there's a birthday party at a pavilion, that's at that pavilion, not the whole park. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion is carried.
Thank you so much, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Christopher
we'll see,
Walken.
we'll see you at Nixon tomorrow for hot chocolate. I'm kidding. Hot chocolate's already covered at Nixon.
It doesn't have four-wheel drive, it's 2 feet.
A lot of snowshoeing. With that being done, we now have a consideration of a first reading of an ordinance repealing a prior resolution 1/25/2016-01 and 11/27/2017-01, and creating 70-31 of the Village of Hartland Code of Ordinances with respect to the Park and Recreation Board by establishing a subcommittee of the same.
So real quick, this is just the first reading. The intent of this, we have monthly meetings with the Ice Age Trail Committee and I believe it's the ECOS. So what this is trying to do is just create a subcommittee that essentially they would be under the guise of the park board. They would meet when they want, when they can meet, and anytime they have ideas that they would like to bring forward to the park board, they would become on that agenda, and all decisions, everything would be final through the park board. But the way it had been is staff were at a lot of meetings. Just like anybody else, we have our budgets, we have what we're conscious of. We want these committees to come forward to the park board. Most of those committees, the Ice Age and Ecos, do things in the parks. So the goal would be whenever they have something, they would bring it forward to the park board and go through that. Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, another plus to making these ad hoc committees is that there's no quorum rules, so they can email amongst themselves. And then, like Sarah and I told both committees that we're available by phone anytime during the day if they have anything to discuss, if it's village-related. Another reason is, as Ryan was alluding to, we do spend staff administration time on creating agendas, taking minutes, and then we also pay employees to attend these meetings. The Ecos is after hours. The Ice Age Trail is during hours. By no means do we disagree with either committee. We love what they do. The Ice Age Trail, as you saw earlier tonight, they're having a walk that a lot of residents will partake in. And the Ecos Committee has done a lot of good things along with Kiwanis, and they cleaned up the riverbanks over in Centennial Park, and they also cut trails, which is actually now one of the Ice Age trails, through Pembroke Park.
So this would go forward to January 22nd for a second reading. At that point, you could suspend the rules to approve it or go into the February meeting.
I'd like to just add one thing, since we're on the reading. One thing you said, and obviously I'm always hesitant to give that away completely, but you said the final say of whatever is decided by those subcommittees then goes to the park board meeting, and that's the final say?
No, I don't, I mean, so previously it would be DPW, myself saying, yeah, go ahead and do this, depending on what the expenditures are. They still have a budget that was approved in the village board of 8,000. It's just actually having the committees, the park board look at it, and, because previously it would be us saying, sure, let's get this weed control or pecan machine or whatever it is.
But I just wanted to add that if something was coming up, it would still come up through the village board. If one of
Correct.
these subcommittees said, I mean, it's all been good work, but let's add some more trails through Pembroke. I don't even think the trails are perfect the way they are, but that would ultimately still come up through the village.
That's
board,
correct.
Correct? Okay.
That's correct.
It would just come through park.
It comes through Park Board.
Got it.
So there'll be a agenda item on the Park and Rec Board. If they have something for that particular month, they'll contact Sarah and I, and we'll make sure it gets on as an agenda item onto the Park and Rec Board. And then if it seeks further action, then we'll bring it up to the village board.
And lastly, I guess I'll ask, I know this sounds a little self-serving, so everybody hold the laughs, but who appoints the people on those subcommittees?
Nobody. No appointments. They're not
Not
binding. They just create their own group and have to move forward everything through the park board. This
So,
is getting rid of any committees.
Oh, okay.
and when I discussed this with Amy over at Ice Age Trail Alliance, there are now 20 Ice Age Trail communities. Hartland was one of the first, and at that time we established this formal committee under the village. We're the only one with a formal committee anymore because there's a lot more resources now. They've got local chapters and the Ice Age has grown, and so I think we're just a little overdue for making this, instead of being so formal where you have to appoint people, it should be a group. I mean, I think it should be a group of people, like we have local groups that are really active in our community, and they can come to the meetings that they can make, and just a little less formal, because that's what most everybody else is doing.
I'm in total agreement. I guess what I'm covering is, does the park board anybody that shows up for that meeting, if they say the park board's got to take it to their agenda, without rules and restrictions, a person could say, well, you don't demand a vote, so I want it on the agenda. I'm just trying to cover to make sure we keep, you know what I mean? It could get a little, I'm not saying it would get there, but it could.
Right.
Who's going to make that ultimate decision on what goes to park?
Well, so again, I reached out to another community. Lodi also has their little committee, I mean, their group reports to their ecos. And so if they have something, it might just be an update that they're providing that then the park board or their ecos would talk about. Or if they have something that needs approval, then somebody is required to come to the meeting and present it. So I feel like we would set it up that way.
Okay.
Because they probably won't need to be at every single meeting, but
Right.
if they have a special event, like the full moon hike that's coming up, you know, those are things you would come and present and
Sure.
get approved.
Understood. So someone
Approval.
would have to go and present it at least to park, and then it would just move it up, way up the ranks. Got it.
So I would also equate this as the last couple of years, we had Eagle Scout projects through, which came through the park board, and that came through administration, and we talked to the Eagle Scouts themselves, and what we did is told them what they needed to bring it and be part of the park board agenda, and then the park board brought it up to
Understood.
the village board.
So that first reading is complete, and you got my own notes. Now we got other items of consideration. Discussion and consideration of the Sons of the American Legion request for a banner for Operation Homeless Veterans. And who, okay. I didn't know if everyone was going to.
Yeah, we're all good.
Well, you could. Everybody takes their turn, takes a script.
Hi, my name's Terry Casper. I'm the adjutant of the Sons of the American Legion. We are not veterans, but we serve by doing fundraising for veterans throughout many things. Our biggest event that we've held here in Hartland is coming up for our 5th year is the Operation Homeless Vets. We sleep in boxes and tents in the parking lot at the American Legion. And our first year we raised $20,000, didn't know what we were doing. And in 2023 we raised $80,000. $40,000 going to Waukee Homeless Veterans Initiative, and $40,000 going to the Veterans Outreach of Wisconsin, which is out of Racine, where they build tiny homes. So all the money we raise stays in southeast Wisconsin. We do a lot of flyers and hanging posters, but it's made clear to us that people living right here in Hartland knew nothing, didn't even know we had the event. So we're trying to see how can we get out to more people to be aware of our event. So we knew about the banner. We all love the banner. That's over Capitol Drive for Hometown Celebration. And then I was made aware of the banner policy for a new event. They require 10 years that event be around, and in 2,000 people, I think, were the rough numbers. And we're here to ask for an exception to that rule. Our event brings a lot of attention to Hartland. In the document I presented, there are links to how much coverage we've gotten from Fox 6 about our event. We did actually get coverage from CBS last year. And so it's bringing a lot of attention to Hartland via news stories and what we do. And obviously, I think what we're doing for homeless vets, especially as things go on right now, the veterans in distress issue is even larger than it ever was in southeast Wisconsin. So we're doing well. We're not only do stuff for veterans, though. We also do fundraising. A lot of the fundraising we do goes right to the community. We donate to the police, to the fire station. The families that were displaced from the fire, we donated to them. So we always like to go beyond. So that's kind of the summary of why we would like to, if we feel if we can get that banner up, a lot more people in Hartland itself would know about our event. So that's why we're here.
Here, how much did you raise the first year?
20,000.
If you had to make a guess, I was there, but I'm asking so the public knows, how many people do you think strolled through there?
See,
For
and that's the hard
year number
thing.
one, I mean,
Hard-
guesstimate.
The very first year, I can tell you, only 18 of us slept out, and there were probably several hundred. But in 2023, there were
No, but how
almost
much did you raise the first year?
20,000.
And the second year?
Second year was 35,000,
And the third year?
44,000. And now the fourth year was 80,000.
Yep.
And we had 30 people sleeping out. And again, it's hard to put a number because it's a 2-day event and people come and go from Friday noon through Sunday. It's pretty much over Saturday night, but Sunday morning, we've had people walk up and write us checks on Sunday morning. So it's a lot of in and out. We do have the 2 bands that play. It's very crowded. I mean, I would guess there's well over 1,000 people that do come and go throughout the 2 days.
We do have an ordinance, the reason I was asking you about that, and I think it's a no-brainer, and I may get shot down for this, but it's huge. And I've come each year just to walk through, I've never slept out, but it is amazing, and how big it is getting, and in foreseeing how big it's getting, it's nearly doubled every single year. And the last time you raised 80,000, and I think in trying to help get to that goal of 160,000 and seeing that this is gonna continue for the foreseeable future, I would like to make a motion that the sleep out for the Sons of the American Legion get added to the list as an approved event, that they can have the banner across the road. That is a motion.
In approving this one, right?
It would be in approving this one, and that they can have the it gets added as an approved event for the village of Hartland, that can have a banner over the road.
I would absolutely second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that they would be allowed to have a banner over the road for this event in the year 2024, and that it gets added as an approved event ongoing as part of our list of approved events.
I would like to say a couple
Go
of
ahead.
things. And I've been to this event almost every year. While this event is exceptionally inspiring and productive for the homeless veterans in southeastern Wisconsin, it does not qualify to have a banner placed over Capitol Drive. And we set our guidelines to have qualifiers that must be met before the board could consider this request. This would set a precedent that would negate the guidelines which are already in place for a reason. And I think that there are plenty of places, it does cost us to have people put the banner up and take it down, or our staff. There's a place right by M&I Bank where I know the street dance used to always put their sign at an angle there. There's the Highway 16 and North Avenue exit where everybody coming into town would see it. I think there's enough opportunities without having to negate our guidelines already. And that's all I have to say.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Is your entertainment miles and nice rack, I guess, are they donating their money or their efforts?
Yes.
Okay.
I also have a comment. I am a member of the Sons of the American Legion, and it's just a wonderful organization. The things that the SAL does for the community is unprecedented. The cooperation between SAL and the police department and fire department is just an amazing connection in how everybody works together. I will, because I'm a member, respectfully abstain, but this is an event that is just huge for our community.
I know there's a lot of I don't take away from what Trustee Wallschlager said. We always have had a list, and we never, or to the best of my knowledge, now if I'm wrong, we never made, huh? Oh, no, I know that, but we've never said that we would never add
Oh, no.
anyone to the list.
No.
We did make exceptions, for instance, the only one exception I know of is St. Charles, where we said if you're bringing a certain amount of people, that's gonna lead to business for the village, and is a great thing for the village for an amount of years. The reason that I made the motion, and we have the banner for, and it does, all great organizations, but we have banners for, before I even say it, I'm gonna ask, how much of the money that's raised goes to the homeless if I'm saying it wrong, please tell me, but the Homeless Veterans Initiative, or Operation
Half of-
Homeless Veterans?
Okay, 100%.
Okay. So the reason that I'm asking that is on the how fast this is growing and what it's for in a time, anybody can go home right now and turn on any news station you want in a world where people can't decide whether they're for someone over there or someone over here. If they're for America burning down or America rising up, I think Hartland should rise up, and the fact that there's organizations that are doing this and are going to be doing it for the foreseeable future, I choose to focus on the situations where Hartland is rising up. The Sons of the American Legion and the American Legion have been an institution in Hartland for a very long time that I would say is interwoven in the fabric of this village, and I think that with what they're raising and what they're raising it for, people that have put their lives on the line, not burning cities, not shutting down freeways, but going and dying for the freedoms that we have, even so that we can have these meetings. I think it is absolutely imperative for us to allow this because of what they're doing. I say we stand with them and we go and give as much money as we can when they have this initiative to help the homeless veterans. I think it's a really, really good thing. And I'm just asking that we put it on the list, but because it will take some time, because that's part of an ordinance, I just think that I wanted to include this year as well. But that doesn't.
No, I'd like to clarify after what you said,
Sorry, it's a policy.
is I think what they're doing is fabulous. I wouldn't have gone down there almost every year otherwise. And my husband is a Vietnam vet, 100% disabled from Vietnam. My father was in World War II. I am behind you guys 100%. That's not my issue. My issue is we have guidelines, and we put rules in place for a reason, which I'm not going to go into here. But if we're going to let this one slide through, then we have no precedent. We have nothing to back us up if somebody else comes and says, we want to put our banner up.
Well, I feel like we do, because this
We
wasn't
can't
going.
discriminate, though.
I'm not discriminating, but
Oh,
I don't
no.
ever feel like when we're doing something for soldiers,
No.
especially homeless ones that have
Jeff, you're
fought
taking
for
it
us.
the wrong way. That's
I'm
not
not
what I
taking
mean.
it the wrong
That's
way.
not
I'm
what I
saying what
mean.
my opinion is. It's
Okay,
not
but
making
you're
an
making it
exception to
sound
me.
like I'm against it.
They
I'm
weren't
not.
doing this event when we came up with the policy. And I believe they should be added to the policy, considering that they've doubled every single year what they've raised, and 100% of what they raise goes to what they're raising the money for.
Then we
They
need to
don't
redo the
have, they
ordinance.
don't give it to, they don't, I did say to change the ordinance.
Yeah.
Changing it on the policy changes the ordinance. I'm only adding this year because it takes a little bit of time to change it. We don't need to change the ordinance. It's a policy on who are the ones that are listed. I'm just saying they should be added to that policy as
agree.
a listed event that can do this on an annual basis, not just this year. And I'm not trying to upset anyone. I mean,
no.
obviously, but I think they
No,
should
but
be
I don't want you to
added.
think, I'm not against them in any way.
I don't think anyone thinks you are, Ann.
I
I think
just.
you're raising good points.
Then I think we need to redo our guidelines
100%.
completely and basically let anyone do this that wants to put a
I
banner up.
disagree
But we still need to redo the policy.
So
Completely.
we have Bark River Bash on there. That has not been a 10-year event.
We need to redo it totally then. We need to take some of that stuff off there.
Just need to
I don't think it should be
amend
taken
it.
off of there. I think that
Updated.
it should be amended and there
Yes.
should be added to the list. We don't have to redo the whole
Right.
Not all of
policy.
it, but I think some of these things have to be refined.
Well, my motion wasn't to refine them.
Yeah, I
My
think it-
motion was to add them to the list on an annual basis, that the Sons of the American Legion can continue to raise money for the homeless veterans and have a banner so that they can raise even $1 more for those veterans. If I'm saying something wrong,
No,
I have a
I
motion on the
agree.
floor and I made a motion. If you want to amend the motion, you can make a motion to amend it.
If we add them to the list, that changes, that addresses the change in policy.
Right.
And I think if we had all 10,000 citizens in Hartland walk through here right now, every one of them would want us to figure out how to make this happen. And we're here to represent those people, so that's why I seconded it. We add it to the policy, that changes that and that fixes that problem, and we move
Because
forward.
if my understanding is that the ordinance says only what's approved per the policy, so I'm just asking for them to be listed on there.
Yeah, that's fine,
as
as long as we go back and amend it.
We have to amend it.
Oh, no,
That's part of the
and that's,
motion,
well,
right.
it does amend it. The amendment is adding them to the list. And the ordinance already just says what the approved list is. So the ordinance is covered, we don't have to redo the ordinance. We can look at the and I was trying to do it, that's why I kind of worded it the way I was, saying adding it as an approved. The reason that I'm adding it to say 2024 is in case that doesn't get amended in time before their
Right,
event.
and we won't get it
That I
amended
have said,
in a month.
that should be, that should be approved for this year.
So can we call the question then?
As long as no one else has anything that
No,
they want to
I'm
add
fine
for
as long as
discussion.
it's going to be amended. That's
So,
fine.
just to clarify, the motion on the floor is that it would become an approved event according to the policy. I believe that the ordinance, we will double check the ordinance, but the ordinance says. Okay, it is only a policy that this gets added as an approved event, but that we also added on for 2024 and each year going forward. You still do need to come forward each year when you do, to show us the banner, and we will need to see what your banner looks like.
Right, I had a sample in the letter, and Lisa Quaid is designing it.
Okay. So I will call a question. I just wanted to make sure everybody still was. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Abstain?
Tim?
Aye.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to the event. I think it's awesome. Keep it up and,
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
okay. Now we have discussion, that motion passes. Now we have discussion and consideration of modifications to the bid grant funds for facade improvement and flower basket maintenance invoicing.
So this item was on the last agenda. If you recall, the bid has a $20,000 matching facade grant that the village offers. The goal of this was to make that facade grant $15,000 and essentially continue watering the plants all summer for free. That would kind of be the offset to it, so a shifting of money. This was tabled and you requested that members of the bid be present so that we could have a discussion back and forth. We do have several members here, including the bid director.
With the bid, design committee, that's who kind of administers the grant program. So here to answer any questions that you have regarding that. I think we've been doing this with the village ever since the bid's been around. It has been 10,000 or 20,000 each, pardon me. For a total of 40,000. I believe it's only been 1 year that we actually reached the ceiling on that. Otherwise, it's been less than that.
Yeah,
But
2023, it's $1,125. That's the village's contribution.
you have a couple other grants there, but, are out there, but the thing is that right now it doesn't show up on your books until it's fully accomplished and paid. So, just happened in this last year, it was a little less. Just to let you guys know, this has been a very successful program. The dollars spent by both of our organizations here, we've probably seen a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio of what the actual property owners put in as well. So it's not always been, you know, if they had a grant for, you know, $90,000, well, they might get, you know, $10,000 in the grant. But they may have spent a lot more of their own money, which has gone towards increasing their property value, and which is beneficial to all in our village.
I believe this item was tabled at the last meeting. I believe there was some questions and some members wanted to talk about the partnership between the bid and things like that.
So,
We buy the flowers, so we purchase the flowers. 2 years ago, we invested in planters that water, so it holds a little bit of water, so they're a little bit more self-sufficient, so they can last longer between watering. So I think it's probably one of the best things that we visually get to see on a day-to-day basis is the flowers. Obviously, when it's warm, we lose some, but we also try to do a good job on making sure when people come into town from Capitol and up Cottonwood, they have this hometown feel.
just so the mic picks you up.
Sorry. They have this hometown feel. I can go back to my days at Beer Snobs. I'll tell you right now, firsthand, people come in and they talk about our village, which is fantastic, and they bring up these type of things. The snowflakes and the Garland, and we have this feel to our village that is so homey. It's inviting, and I hear that through my years at the restaurant. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand, at least from our part, we think it's a fantastic program, and we love the relationship we have with the village, and the DPW has always been supportive of us and getting these things done. So we have that beautiful feel to, our village. We do a lot more, but visually, that's I think is one of the most outstanding things that we do. So I wanted to mention that to you guys, and thank you for your past support.
And one of the things that I brought up, I don't think I brought it up at the meeting, but in talking with village personnel, is that recently we had someone that came forward, and we used to have these wreaths with candles in them. Those were the decorations that we had, but they weathered out. I mean, those, unfortunately, decorations don't last forever. So they weathered out, and we got new ones, and we even had some snowflakes, and I think we ended up getting like better snowflakes, but anyway, things do weather out where we have to get new decorations. And with the flowers, someone came forward, the point of that is someone came forward with something that we haven't even had up in a while. You would know better than I, Jim. I mean, when did we have wreaths up?
That was.
Some time ago,
Some
right?
time ago,
Well, this
before
person
that.
realized it now, and they said, why don't we still have the wreaths? And this isn't against that person. I'm glad they brought it up, but my point is, a lot of times when we start something, they're gonna want it. So, one of the things that I guess and I understand you're not even asking for, but I did start talking to the village and saying, even if it were to go away, let's say the bid said, because the way I look at it is the bid basically donates the flowers to the village, so to speak, and then the bid gets to choose which flowers are going in there, but the baskets are donated, and then they pay to water them, or there's a mixture of both. And I thought, why not it be that we just do a continuation of that the bid does, we would probably keep the flowers, even if the bid said no. I shouldn't be saying that, but in a partnership, why doesn't the bid keep donating the flowers and the baskets when they go bad, and obviously the snowflakes and stuff, but then the village, and I'm trying to form a partnership, and please do chime in if you want to, Dave, because I know it's a cost on us, but that the village covers half of that cost. So even if you're gonna go out, you'd still have to kind of come forward and say, hey, this is the cost. If all of a sudden it's 12 grand a year to water flowers, the village might say, hey, okay, you guys are on your own. But we at least have a choice, and we're working better together. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, the bid is an arm of the village.
Right.
So we kind of look of ourselves as a working piece for
Right.
you.
Right.
And for the village. So
Right.
anytime something happens like that, we would obviously want to be involved. We would like to help out.
Right.
I could tell you I was in Banff, Alberta, the last 4 or 5 days. I took pictures of, they had trees on the top of their lights. I thought it looked really cool. So things that we can do to
Sure.
freshen things up, we would obviously do. But yeah, I mean,
I thought it might
we
make
think
things
it's
easier
very-
moving forward instead of having to ask each year and say, because we've been doing this for a while, that all of a sudden 50% is covered by the village, because I know the village wants it beautiful, and we probably would continue. So it is the whole village chipping in, and then 50% of that watering cost, or that, whatever, 50% of that cost is covered by the bid, because they are lucky enough to have them right in front of their businesses. I'm trying to figure of a better way, because the truth is, I want to be honest also and say, even if the bid said, forget it, it's too much of our budget, we're not doing flowers anymore, the village would say, well.
I can assure you, we would come back here and we would, I'm gonna say fight you, we would encourage you to do it. Because
Right.
I think it's, from somebody who's seen it and talked to others, I mean, I can say what I like, I love it. When
Right.
we talked about different alternatives, I came back to, we just invested in these watering planters. We just did a lot of things. To move off of that doesn't make any sense. And yes, there is an expense to it, but I think its
Absolutely.
payback is fractional to the expense. It's unbelievable what I
If I
think.
can say something, we made the bid did not want to make any changes whatsoever. The request here was just a cost shifting measure. We have the same budget, we're
Right.
putting the same monies to the same things.
I brought what I was bringing up to help.
And-
I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
a help,
I'm-
is it
I-
not?
Are you
agree.
suggesting that you split the flowers themselves as well, or just the watering?
The
That's
watering.
my- Okay,
Yeah.
so,
So basically, the bid donates these flowers to the village.
yes.
Right.
The bid donates them because then they get to choose what flowers actually go in them, which they do. It's not, they don't have to come to the village board and say, well, is it okay if we do these flowers? So that's the kind of, see where I'm
Right,
going with
right,
this
right.
here? But we help with the cost of the watering, or we want to chip in and do, I would like to see us do 50-50 on the cost of the watering.
And I do appreciate that, and I'm not trying to sound greedy, but
Mm-hmm.
after administrative expenses and rent, our entire operating budget is $34,605. So it is a very limited budget. The flowers have gone up price-wise. I'm sure this year we'll receive another increase. So the flowers cost us about $5,000. Over the past 3 years, watering started out at $2,200, then it went up to $4,100, and then this past year, I believe it was $5,600. So I'm not trying to be greedy, it's just literally our budget is so small, and we have so little to work with, that to absorb, even if it's $6,000 next year, and I understand your guys' expenses, DPW, payroll, all of those things go up, but to just have this kind of arbitrary number that we have to subsidize 50% of is going to be a struggle. If the facade and sign grants are completely exhausted this year, we are $19,000 over budget in the bid.
Okay.
So it is,
How was it set up last year?
So last year they had up to 20,000 they could get in facade money, and we charged them for the water. They were not expecting a $5,700 water bill, but that's what the cost of
That's
summer
why I
help
wanted to do
and
the 50. So what I'm saying right now does lower,
Yeah, we're,
but we're asking for a line item shift that instead of giving $20,000 towards the facade grant, if it's completely exhausted, that the village would instead just do $15,000. We do have a small reserve where, let's say that the facade grant did get completely exhausted one year, that last $5,000 would not be,
I
not
see what you're saying.
fulfilled.
So you'd rather see it be just a 5,000 line
Correct.
item.
She's playing the odds that history, the grant
Correct.
didn't use up, so the money's still there.
I hear what
where
you're
it's
saying.
guaranteed the watering is gonna cost.
You're saying that money's
Correct.
offered, but you're not in the position to
Right.
shift it right now, because it's like, oh, there was only 2 people that came for sign, or whatever, facade improvement grants. So you'd like to just see $5,000, and it goes from 20 down to 15.
Correct.
it's a shift.
Sorry for trying.
I don't,
No, I appreciate it, I do. We're
Forget
just,
the whole thing. You
we're-
pay for, no, I'm kidding.
and I think what they're
We did a
saying,
bad job of explaining that, and I.
where we were trying to go, and I think what they're trying to say too is, so yes, they're taking that risk. This year, $1,125 is what we paid. If they filled all of their facades, we would have paid 20, no questions asked. They're just hoping that we would cover that watering cost. They cover the flowers, everything associated with that. And the max facade grant they could get is 15. That's up to you guys. I mean, again, if they fill it next year and if we keep it at 20 grand, they'll get 20 grand for facade. But the option was free watering or.
$5,000, I mean, it's almost like we just put $5,000
it's a
on the
white one.
budget, and I'll tell you why in a second, because otherwise we gotta put a caveat in here to look at it in 5 years, because when it's 9 grand for the watering, someone else may make a difference, or however.
You also gotta look at
This
too
isn't
is-
that tough, it's water.
Depending on how much of the grant is used. If the grant gets used all up, then we gotta come back and talk about it again. If-
Well, no,
if
what they're,
consistent-
no, they're saying to drop the grant
No,
amount
no,
from
I
20
understood, I
Oh,
understood
okay.
that 20 minutes ago.
Okay. I'm just saying, that's what they're, I don't know if they use up the whole grant, if they have to come back.
No, but I'm
where
saying,
we'll put them to 5.
if the grant money is, moving forward, every year, it's maxed out, then we're maybe on the short end of the stick, but until then,
Oh, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
yeah.
And,
Okay,
and history is not,
Right.
had that happen.
right,
Right.
so if someone wants
Yeah.
to make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Well,
Let's get this ball rolling
again, no,
here.
so I think what you're looking for is to say the village will cover the watering. That could,
Exactly.
Yes.
that is what I'm looking for, yeah.
and he's saying 5,000, so you guys have to
Fine,
determine.
he said covering, that was the motion, I'll second it.
Right.
Dave, are we okay?
He doesn't get the vote.
No, but he can discuss, because we work very close with him, and I don't wanna.
Well, we'll discuss it. This is this year, we have a year to hammer out how
I-
we're gonna do this moving forward, because I'm sure there'll be some.
I think
percentage.
Dave would encourage flowers that need less watering than last year. Because last year they fried out in about 8
It was
hours in
dry.
the sun.
It was very dry.
Any other discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Sorry for
Thank you.
confusing everybody and
Thanks
taking
for
too much of your
working with
time.
Thank you.
I'm going to request a recess for 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
Well,
Hey, I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, you're saying, I didn't even go do that. Did that go okay? All of a sudden she's like, no. Now that we're back in order, we have consideration of a first reading of an ordinance amending 50-232 of the Village of Hartland Municipal Code pertaining to impact fees and schedule of a public hearing. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick with that, this is just the first reading. At the next reading and public hearing, the gentleman from Rupert Milky, Ed Maxwell, that put together this impact fee study for us, he will be here at that, so I'd ask you hold your questions till then. Every 10 years, you're required to update your impact fee study. This is our 11th year. Why did it take 11 years? We were debating with the police and fire and Village Hall what was going to happen there, and it's not really going anywhere fast, so we're going to move forward with the impact fees, and if we have decided a new fire, police, Village Hall, we'll bring it back with changes to the impact fees.
So wait till next time.
Yeah, wait till next time with questions. Some municipality, yeah. If you have some questions, we may be able to answer them, but, okay. And then the only alternative would be, once he reads A, that you would set a public hearing for the next meeting. And you can, go ahead.
So item A is consideration of setting a date for the public hearing. I'm suggesting January 22nd, 2024.
Make a motion that we set the public hearing for January 22nd, 2024.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to set the public hearing for ordinance 50-232 regarding impact fees. That we have that on January 22nd, 2024. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. So now we have discussion and consideration of site license agreement with CCATT, or CCAT. Am I correct on that? Is that how they refer to that? For the cell tower property located at 671 Hill Street.
So this is Dish Network looking to put up a brand new, well, go on an existing monopole. It would be a brand new revenue for the village of about $30,000 per year. Anytime we can get one of these, it's a benefit. Hector and I have been working on this for a long time to get this done, and this will be a 5-year agreement with a 5-year renewal, and like I said, about 30 grand a year. Most of our leases are in the $25,000 to $30,000. We have nothing on bristlecone. Once this is signed and approved, we may discuss that. We just didn't want to. We wanted to get everybody locked into agreements. So if this is approved, we then could also go to bristlecone tower because that is now an option. No issues on your end, Dave, correct? The monopole exists and
Yeah, that's correct.
it's all structural analysis. They
That's
do
the
everything.
nice thing about the revenue that we'll make off of this, because it's not even on our water tower, so we don't have to do any maintenance around this dish network because they'll be on the monopole up on Hill Street.
Ryan, why did you say now if we'd say yes to this, that now we can do it on the water tower? Why couldn't we do it?
We could before, but
Oh.
didn't want others to know that was an option because then they may say, forget it, I don't want to renew that tower. So now
Oh.
we might be able to have them on 3 towers.
Why, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Just don't say that out loud on
No, okay.
TV.
I will-
You just did.
That's why I want you to approve this and we're good.
I'll make a motion that we approve the site license agreement with CCATT for the cell tower property located at 671 Hill Street.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the CCAT for the cell tower, or the license agreement with CCAT for the cell tower property located at 671 Hill Street. The only question I have, are we gonna run into anything that we did last time when we had people doing stuff? We had some cell tower where they had to remove and put back in, didn't we have quite a few? We had some issues. I mean, that same thing will work where they'll just repair it, but I mean, do you think that there'll be the same type of issues again?
So they had when they were transferring from 4G to 5G, there was a bunch of antenna swap overs. We had some issues with some of the companies that they sublet to that did not come with badges or work badges or anything on their vehicles, and that's was a little problem because we wouldn't let them inside of our water towers unless we heard from the higher ups and the cell phone companies.
Okay.
You're also going to start seeing 5G towers throughout the village at some point, and we have zero control over that because the state pretty much said they can do whatever, wherever, however, whenever. So.
Yep. No choice. Federal government strong. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That motion is carried. Now we have discussion of building needs analysis and possible action creating a committee. We got a lot of good ones tonight, I'll tell you.
Well, and I talked to President Fanish a little bit about this today. Zimmerman gave us some information about our needs. Obviously, we had some issues with that company. Everybody does have needs. We are in a building that is aging. We will need a new building. As I was telling him, I don't know if it's worth creating a committee. We need to figure out, we have different ideas of where to put it. Once we figure out where to put it, maybe we can right-size it for what everybody needs. As President Fanish still mentioned today, you guys really need to know, what do we need? Not want, what do we need? And I think I have to take that with every department to say, what do we truly need? Sarah would love a 300,000 square foot recreation center. Am I correct? Do you need one? All right. So the whole point of this is determine, do we want to do a committee? Do we want to have another group come in and do a different study? How do we want to proceed with this? Because we do need to do something.
Throw in something before we start? I just want to say, this was an idea. Just like we do the budget, I think this board deserves to have presented to it the department heads, and going off of, because Ryan so nicely selected Sarah to be the guinea pig here. Let's say Sarah is saying, hey, I need 300,000 square feet. I mean, we'll decide what building it's in. We may say, okay, that's its own building. We might say, no, that's not happening. You're staying with what you got. But I think that we got the answers from Zimmerman that we need more space. I personally would like to, before we go too much in too many directions, have the department heads come to us. You know, item A is basically if you only can have the bare minimum, and item C, as the gentleman from Zimmerman calls it, the Lamborghini plan, which you can present it to us so we know what you're thinking it may be. I have a feeling you're not gonna get approval of that. But, and then there's hitting something in the middle of, okay, Sarah, you might want a 300,000 square foot thing that's here, but we end up repurposing a building or whatever, or we don't do it. We only give you half or whatever it is. But I think it should be presented just like we present the budget. When you guys come forward, you're coming forward and saying, here's our needs, here's why we need them, here's what this accomplishes, here's what it does for the future, here's the things my people are running into, here's the laws, or here's the amount of people that are coming in that affect things like that. I say those two things because some of our departments have needs for, some of them it's for bunking and office space. Some of our departments are running into that they have to have a place that they put all kinds of evidence. Some of it's got to be climate controlled, some of it not. There's a way to work this problem, and I've only used this a few times, but I'll say the same thing again. I think we need you to present, because anybody that's ever seen that movie, Apollo 13, I feel like we're a little bit all over the place. And Zimmerman, I'm sorry, and no disrespect for him, but when you come in with the Lamborghini plan, it makes me right away question, are you looking for money on what you're going to get off of that deal, or whether you're really trying to help the village? And if it takes this long to help it, I realize all of us in this room have figured out a lot of stuff over the years and gotten it pretty right. So I think of the movie Apollo 13 when they walk in a room and they're like, there's guys up there 200,000 miles away. Their carbon monoxide or dioxide, whatever's in there, one of you will tell me, I'm sure. But it's dropping, so you're gonna die if you can't make this filter. And they throw a bunch of stuff and they say, this is what they have up there. And they're like, as fast as you can, figure it out, come up with a filter, and they did. We've done this before, but let's do that. Let's have the presentations. I understand it'll be almost like going through another budget hearing, and it's gonna take work on your ends. Zimmerman has already proven we need more space. We know that. The only people that don't need more space is the board that's in front of you. We're good, because we redid this. I even think that administration upstairs needs a little more space. If you've ever been in the conference room up there, it's like meeting in a closet, which is fine if you have 4 people. But once you get more than that, it really gets tight. But let's say you wanted to meet up there for whatever reasons, but it's very small, and it's not, it just, I was just saying, but yes, we multi-purpose this so everybody can use this. But I think it'd be good to have you guys come forward, or maybe I'm saying to the board, I think it'd be good to have the department heads come forward. They've now gotten the study. 90% of that study was supposed to be for space. That doesn't mean we have to use Zimmerman to build it. And again, nothing against Zimmerman. Wonderful company, outstanding company, been around a long time. But now I think it's time for the family to talk, and we don't have to ask the neighbor what we should do with our backyard, so to speak. I think we should sit and talk about do we want a pool or just a nice lawn? Do we want artificial turf, or are someone going to mow this every week? Let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk about what we can do. And ultimately, everybody on this board would like to give you the $27 million plan that Zimmerman gave to you. The thing is, 7 of us are going to have to go out to the people, and every single April, there's people that are saying, why would I re-elect you? Yeah, and I'm being honest, because I feel like you're not serving my needs, because I never would have been for that. So that's what I'm throwing out. But I'll open it up to the board, I promise. I won't even interject that.
He promised, you heard him.
I promise, no interrupting.
Yeah, I think the idea of having the department heads in where we can have some back and forth and question and answer while hearing the plan, I think is a great one, because I think that there's gonna be stuff that's gonna come up. We have questions, all of us do, of each of you, and I think that would help us with some direction as well. So I like that idea a lot. That's all I got.
I was gonna say, if that's the direction you go, we could talk about a staff meeting, and we could maybe do kind of a special meeting in February, March, similar to what we do for the budget meeting, where, again, Chief Misko knows relatively about how much space he needs. They're getting through right now with a closet for an office, but there are things everybody could use. Chief, if he gets a full-time fire department, is gonna need more space for people to sleep. Sarah would love to have ovens, and you would, indoor pickleball space with lighting, that the school has lighting that's dim, and they said, we're not gonna fix it. Everybody has needs. Public Works, if you go in there, that is bumper to front of the car of every vehicle in there. Everybody, we're busting at the seams.
Didn't we go over this, I want to say like a year ago? that we went over the space, like at the fire department and police department. Didn't we already go over all that?
We just had a presentation a couple weeks ago. Go ahead.
My memory on that and was, that was for like the new trustee orientation, I believe, and we did the tours. And I know I talked about some of the space needs and concerns at that time.
10 years later.
So, and that was my goal, I think, of that kind of spurred into this building study to say, let's
Okay.
bring in an expert to give us like an idea what we actually need. It's not just the chief of the police or fire department saying, I need this or I need that. It's actually an outside entity that's got expertise in the field to say, this is actually what is needed for best practices and just kind of standardized. What I wanted to do it for is we have a very small aging facility with a lot of maintenance issues. I think we were fixing roof leaks yesterday again. Correct. So we're at that point where we're going to have to start looking to sink some considerable amounts of money. Something Zimmerman did briefly touch on about how much we just do what we're doing today for the next 5 to 10 years. We're sticking X amount of millions of dollars just to keep that facility up and running, and it still doesn't fully meet our needs. We have some of those pitch points, I know, and that's actually what I was going to suggest again as a possible, because we could have some of this back and forth, but to me, I'm very visual in the sense of let's walk through and I'll actually show you how like tight and how interesting it can get with one big case. Like one really interesting was that Mansfield fire. By the grace of God, in that case, the crime lab took a lot of that evidence because of their response unit. Otherwise, I don't know what I would have done with some of that stuff with the capabilities we have in our current setup. So we're one big case from like being at capacity, and that's just tough to deal with because I never know what's coming or not. And we work diligently in keeping that space clear. We had an officer leave the police department with 25 years of service last week, and we do exit interviews on all our employees. And one of the things he pointed out was that in today's day and age with the unknown powders that we all come across in the field is we should have some type of hood, because for us to do charging, we have to have a preemptive test that shows that that's an illegal drug. So to do that, you have to expose yourself to some degree to that powder. And we have protocols in place, but best practice is to have a hood that you can do that under. I'll take you up in my evidence lab and you show me where I should put that hood. So like those are some of the things that I would do it in a heartbeat. We can get it into the budget and figure it out. I just have literally physically nowhere to really put it safely in the current structure we're in. And we talked about, some of the office space is we're just making closets in the offices. There's a little bit of joking to that, but it is true. I mean, I could take you up there and show you. We're really utilizing every square space. So it's just some of those things to expand upon. If right now and I'll tell you in my announcements, Taylor Weiss just accepted our final offer of employment. So she was going through her conditional offer. Today we got all the information back to offer that. If that would have been a man, I would have had no locker to give him in our locker room. I mean, we just got lucky a female candidate was the right fit for our department. But that we're tight on space. So some of those things are pinch points. My big thing with bringing Zimmerman, and I think we'd all sit here, we got some valuable information. I think we were all had the bar set maybe a little higher, and we're a little hopeful for more. But these type of projects aren't like done tomorrow. These are years built out. Just trying to be bringing good information so we can bring that plan together and not stick $4 or $5 million into an aging building I think Zimmerman used the lipstick on the pig analogy. Or we actually do something that lasts us the next 50, 60 years and kind of use that money a little more wisely. I do think some of his pricing was, in my mind, high. I'm not following that in the current trends. I do understand construction costs are high and astronomically high, but that was like to Pluto high kind of thing. It was kind of outside. I think we were all sitting thinking a number about half to $10 million less than what he was saying. So that, I think, shocked all our conscience when he kind of threw some of those numbers. And I can only go back to, I know I said this last time, Lake Delton 2022, post-COVID, post some of the the rise in construction prices, obviously it's continued to go up since 2022, but that COVID spur was when it really lifted off on us. They have a facility I would dream to be in, size-wise and layout-wise, 10.2 million. Now, that's just for a police department. That's not, I don't believe that has furniture and some of those incidental costs there that go with a new building, but 10.2 is different than 24 or whatever Zimmerman was saying. I mean, night and day. So, and that was only really a year ago.
I think, I like the idea of bringing stuff, but I still like Chief too. I mean, you can put, something on paper, but I'm visual too, because, okay, it says it's small, but conceptually, how small is it? So,
Well, and that's what's hard. So I went to Oconomowoc for a training, and their police department, and their room is 8 times the size of this. It was enormous. But I don't know that we need that, but we could use that for things. I mean,
How much did it cost?
12 million.
$12 million, not 27.
That was on a remodel
That was a grocery store,
pre-COVID too.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, like President Fanisha said, St. Charles, the Taj Mahal is 12 million. So,
$14 million. Huge. So, I said I was going to interrupt, and I'm not interrupting. I'm just clarifying that what I was saying, was just that what I was saying is that actually it would be completely on the department heads to come and present to us, to say, here's what we need, here's what we want, here's why it benefits. I mean, for sure you have to show us the need. If you want to show us what you want also, I'm kind of putting it on the department heads to basically come and present. I don't care if they do it by PowerPoint. I don't care how they do it.
How about a tour?
But to present, including tour, however they want that presentation to go.
we'll talk at our next couple staff meetings and come up with a plan and give you guys options.
I think that that'd be very helpful, because then we really know what we're doing, and it makes it easier for us, because when we go out to the public, no matter what, and I don't want to use the word sell, but we need to go to the public to let them know why this is a need and why it benefits this community, because I don't want departments working where we have people with the finest homes, the nicest golf courses, the greatest people, the best parks, and the crappiest department facilities in the state.
Jeff, does that have to go to referendum?
Well, it doesn't have to, but I'm pretty sure it will, because I don't think we're gonna borrow for it. I think the
Well,
board's gonna say,
that's-
no, we'll go ask.
No, so you have borrowing capacity $70 million. If you did 20 million without a referendum, you'd probably have 7 new seats up here.
It doesn't have to go to referendum, I'm suggesting it does. We could borrow the money,
Oh, okay.
which turns into more taxes and interest,
No, we don't want that.
but it gives you a longer time to pay it off. It is an option. I think that the people should have a say in it, and I think with an expense this big, you gotta go and ask. I'm just trying to stress and say the reason that I want the reason that I'm suggesting that the board have the department heads put so much into it. If they give a really bad presentation, then they might not get what they're looking for, but if they can show what they need, it helps us see it, but it helps us go and tell the village and say, this is why they need it. We stand behind them, but it's not gonna be just us 7 going out and saying, hey, please vote for this referendum. It's gotta be, they gotta dig in. Yeah.
I think that brings more clarity from each department head. I'd like to see that as well. We want to be on the same page and have the best information, so that'll help us.
Yep. If you guys want to chime in on that, because this is important stuff. If any department head is against that or doesn't think it's a good idea, please. Or, I mean, if you have anything to add on that, you may say, hey, I'm in the middle of this right now. I don't have time to come up with that crap.
Like somebody to decide where you guys think everybody wants.
Microphone.
I was actually gonna go there. What Leo was just saying is the location of the facility is obviously a big piece of it. We obviously own some land down the street that we could develop for this need and then do whatever you want for the current site. You have some potential that they did a study that they can actually remodel this building. So we'd actually work through a remodel. The unfortunate part for us is we have nowhere to move our operations. So we have to work through the remodel, which then becomes expensive because you can only do parts of the building at a time. So while you're kind of polishing up this building, it's very expensive because of the time, because they can only fragment certain parts of the building. So what would take a year to build takes 2.5 to remodel for this facility. So there's pros and cons to all these things, and that's what Zimmerman was kind of working through. Then there's basically that footprint he was given. If it fits, it fits. So he can do that. I know Trustee Wallschlager brought up Hartbrook Park. There's been discussion that they could do it here in the parking lot and then just move right next door when that's all done. So there's a lot of different options, but that is definitely something that will have to be decided at some point. And then my only question on the department head presentations, I'm all for the tour because again, I can actually show you. One thing I'm not good at, I don't have like a CAD that I can like draw up designs. That's what my hope was with Zimmerman, to paint that picture a little better. I don't have that expertise, that specialization and something like that. So I don't know how fine tuned my presentation would be. Like just off the cuff, I'd probably use their conceptuals and show you like, this is the difference between what they're presenting. I don't think the big Lamborghini plan they showed you is the space I actually need. I actually cut out, I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 square feet in about 3 seconds when he first showed me that plan and asked him to present that, but he still presented to the other plan because that's what he's seeing in the industry right now.
And to go off of that, I have the full faith that the board up here, especially a lot of these people have been on plan commission or deal with plans or in industries that deal with plans or are involved with law enforcement and stuff like that. I do have the full faith, and I really mean this, that the board up here will figure out where we need to go when it comes to land and that kind of thing. What we need to do is I don't think anybody up here wants to just be like, all right, I'm not going to serve anymore. So I'll vote yes on this. And then we have seen what our options are of where we can go. We need to be able to know the why so that we can go to the public and say, we're doing this because we stand behind our staff. Here's what they're running into in this person's office and in this room and in this, just in the police department. And over at our fire department, we are on the verge of a plan that's bringing in and turning this into a full-time department. They're going to have to sleep on cots behind a fire truck because there's no bedrooms. Or DPW maybe is running into things, or Sarah may say, hey, I'm hamstrung on 90 grand that I could be bringing in and these people that I could be doing this for because I could be doing this and this and this. We know our options for where we can go because the village does have some land, so this is the right time to do it. And we know Zimmerman said we need more stuff. I personally think we got a grasp on that from what we've gone over with all of this, but I think actually seeing it and having the department heads show it to us, honestly, just like with budget, every single time you guys ask for something, whether it's another body, whether it's a dump truck, whether it's even getting, well, we need an extra yard on this one, and sometimes through phone calls explaining, here's why we gotta have that extra yard. I think that the board is really receptive to those things, and I think it really helps us instead of just being like, well, they came and told us that they need this, and so we'll go with, it helps us a lot. Because I think at the end of it, we're gonna see what's really needed, and we can help by going and holding people's feet to the fire and say, tell me what you can do with this, because we have to do it. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
So we can use some of Zimmerman's plan. Again, some of the drawings, like, we'll start there and we'll talk about it amongst staff. I mean, some of the drawings, the rec director, you had to go through the rec center to get to the office. So there was not much thought put in the administrative side of that plan, but we can come up with something.
And I really am hoping, I'm sorry, I keep clarifying, but I hope that someone doesn't come and 10% of what I would like to see, I wouldn't want to see any of you come and tell me 25% of what you show me is kind of like, oh, I want this and this and this. But Zimmerman said, so here, let me show you, and here's what would happen if we went over here and here. I think the board will get that. We'll be able to figure that out, because we'll be able to deal with some of that. I really do. But saying, here's what I'm dealing with and here's where I'd like to get to. Not necessarily where it lands, whether that building lands on a farm field over there or a park over there. I'm just saying for myself, I think we'll be able to decide, here, we're gonna get you here, this is what's gonna work, but really deciding what the issues are that you're running into. And I'm not trying to be abrasive with that. I hope that it's not coming off that way. We need to see why we need to do this. Zimmerman can't show us that. He can do a study and say he's a professional, and then he can come in and say, $27 million will get everything you want. And all of a sudden, it's like, he's on an airplane over Lake Michigan, or that's that way. flying away because it's like, you're not for Hartland. You're not gonna be able to pull it off. We could maybe, we could go and sell it, but we're taking a heck of a risk. And maybe we do. Maybe we do need to do that, but I don't think you have any person up here that's like, hey, we gotta do it. And
So there was
it's a big decision. That's why I'm being so serious about it, saying we need it presented to us. This isn't just a dump truck. I mean, we're talking about a major, major decision, which is gonna affect things for a very long, long time. And we want to get it right, sorry.
You know, there's a lot of time and money put into the Zimmerman proposal, right? And you've got what they've proposed. Have the department heads had a chance to go back to Zimmerman or to Ryan to say, hey, we could pair this off, you know? It doesn't have to be 10,000 square feet for this. It can be 7.
Chief did that. Chief took it to him and he said, yeah, we're underimpressed.
This is why I'm trying to do it this way.
Okay.
I think Chief will back me up on this. I don't know exactly where all the roadblocks are. What I do know,
So Zimmerman's
it
not
appears that
willing.
there's a lot of, we're not getting there does appear to be a lot of excuses. Number one, he wasn't getting back to Chief in a timely manner. Period. It's the truth, he wasn't.
There was a,
And not even kind of timely.
there was a medical issue in spring of last year, and from that point forward, it was kind of off the tracks.
And along with that, then we talked about some other things. But then he tried telling us, well, police is in this petri dish, so that's why they have so many conference rooms and this and that, and rec is in a petri dish. Meaning they took it and had a bunch of different people all come up with these ideas without even knowing what the person next to them was doing, and then they put it all together in this big building. But you might have a rec conference room that's, I'm making this up, that's 20 feet away from a police conference room, and both of them are 40 feet by 40 feet. It's unnecessary, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you kind of have to get together and you got to do it yourself. That's what I'm saying. The family has to figure out what we want in the backyard. At some point, you got to stop asking the landscaper that keeps on coming and saying, for $40,000, your backyard can look like this. It's like, man, jump in a lake. Sorry. I think that we need to do it. We will get there. But we don't, I mean, we can pick any company we want. We can do all that. I'm not downing Zimmerman, but, sorry.
So we don't need to take any action or anything, right? We're just,
I don't know.
other than, I mean, Ryan takes it back to the department heads, or do we have to
I
take
have 'em.
an action up?
Yeah, let them do it.
Yeah.
Let them set it up.
We'll come back to you guys in a month.
No action on 10 then?
When will we do the tours or?
They'll come back with it in a month with
In a
with
month,
that
they'll
plan.
have,
Oh.
put things together, and
Okay.
then the
I thought maybe
tour
we
will
could
come
go on a
with it.
tour first, okay. All right.
Okay, that's that. So we got announcements.
No.
The logo.
Oh, sorry. God, we had a whole display set up.
You just dissed Sandy here.
Sandy wants to skip it too.
No, she wants to get it done.
We have discussion and consideration of the new village logo. It is on, obviously it's in the packet. There's also some printed stuff that's over there, the one that we currently have.
We have some
And-
more, Jeff.
All right.
What we had looked at was making that bridge, that's a combination of 2 bridges in town.
Mm-hmm.
And then making, I don't have any of that software, so I was doing everything freehand, which actually I think makes it look more like the fieldstone that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And then put 2 people on top of there walking, so there you've got the path, the people walking, you've got your bridge, and if you wanted to take, where's that one? This one. Like, put it right in the middle here with the 2 people on top, you could even leave the water in there. But I didn't have any software, I was drawing it freehand and it didn't work. So.
Someone can take the picture. Did you see the one that's over there? There's one that's over there. We do have someone that can actually take it, and they can take that picture and make it come to life like for the
Well,
logo.
they can do that, but that's why I
Here,
said
show
I
Rick.
like that bridge better than.
Show Rick and then we can pass it down to this side.
You know, if you
She's
did
talking
some
about
kind
the
of,
train bridge.
yeah, if you did,
Take everything you had said you wanted.
What bridge?
you did something like a fancy bridge
one.
on number 2,
Holding hands, walking.
So that, just to clarify what she's talking about, Sandy and I have been in contact with, read through this here. have been in contact with someone that we know that's a graphic designer.
I thought the final four were here.
Tough to follow.
Making this bridge here, that's a combination of the one by the fire department.
Should have Simon and Garfunkel autograph.
Pull up a picture.
Executive decision. That's
Tim.
what we vote. Let's go.
Sir,
Can you pull up a picture of the
The
bridge?
two people. and
Oh, the what?
you leave the
Only
one
thing I
bridge.
would say.
oh, that's
I took
in
notes of what Jeff had said he was
Lake Country
talking about.
Farm.
So ultimately though, if there is no design by today, it's essentially a year.
Why don't we just vote on the four here and already done this?
A year,
I was not told that. It's a yes.
today,
With the elections this year? Yeah.
yes.
Oh, gotcha.
Today or next year.
Thank you.
Because this is going on our civic, that's why we said it had to be by X date.
It's my fault. I should have gotten it over sooner.
This is almost like the food truck policy.
If we're going with what's in front of us, I'd say the graphic artist number 2 is today.
Go that route, then what's the logo? It's over there, right?
Here.
No, I just want to see, no, that's the logo. I'm sorry, I wanted to see the.
That looks like an election, like a, no.
I did find a picture of it.
You can have yours.
I just wanted to see with the words.
I think that the only thing that I'd like to see is on the letterhead portion, I'd still like to see it say established.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he wants to be.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Here?
Yep.
I agree with Ann. I hate to go bland just because it's gonna cost a year. I hate to go bland when we have a custom village bridge. Dave, can you tell me how many communities in the United States you think have that exact same walking bridge?
1,200.
I bet you're low.
13.
Sandy, what do you say? And please be honest. If you really would like us to pick, how much does it affect you? If we waited a year or if we decided tonight?
Not affect me if we wait a year.
What?
Yeah, it's just, after today, I have to focus
extra
and
work
develop
if we bring it
training
back up?
for poll workers.
We've been talking about this 3 months
Yeah.
and
Say we just
paid
make a
companies
decision.
and aren't getting product. That's where it's frustrating.
Well, why wouldn't we just vote and get the majority like we normally do on any other agenda item?
Someone can make a motion. Either way, I can tell you this.
It's a logo.
I definitely want a new logo. That doesn't have a heart in it. And I understand the purpose of it at the time, you know, I do. I'm not downing it, but I think that along with the old wooden sign that's at Hartland that was behind us, it has to go to the history.
Do you have that up in your house?
No, I'm not sure where that went. I hope it went to the library, but. This is what the board.
Make it.
I think we need to move forward and get this done. I'll make a motion that we approve graphic artist number 2 design if we can add the established date underneath for the envelope smaller version.
Second.
With the house on there and everything?
I think that's what he's it's been moved and seconded to approve, which one?
Graphic artist number 2.
Graphic artist number 2 with the common, footbridge and the house and pine trees.
The common footbridge is the best bridge that we had presented to us.
Yeah,
from
based on all of the bridges that
all
we've seen,
documents we've gotten.
other than Ann's hand sketch, which I actually really do like, that we don't have that in front of us.
It's my,
How many of those footbridges do we have like that? 6, right, or something like that? 5 or 6 that go across?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, with that established added to the envelope.
what would you think of taking the 2 stars from Wisconsin for the envelope? Getting rid of those 2 stars, because it looks like an election sign, almost with the stars.
We can certainly remove those and have it mimic the larger logo.
Yeah.
Without, where we did remove the stars from there, so.
I just think that looks like an election sign.
Do I amend my own motion to say also eliminating the stars?
Well, it should just mimic up here, identical, just, yeah.
Yeah.
Down here.
We had a motion and second though.
No, I didn't say we didn't. Anybody else want to say anything on it?
Could the house that's on here that is a pretty small cabin be a little bit bigger?
Oh, no.
Can it be,
Ser-
can it be a copy of the Churchills?
Well, it's an outhouse now, I think.
It is.
Today's the deadline, we don't have time to.
Yeah.
I think wait a year.
It is what it is.
You can put it back on an agenda in a year and we can change it again.
Which we just showed you just the wording. Village of Hartland, Wisconsin established. This is where all the action is, where we got some pine trees and a cabin. And you can walk over the river. No, it's cool.
Again, it's a logo for an
Hell of
envelope.
an improvement over what we have today.
It is. You know what?
Go.
You're right.
All in favor?
Oh, you want? I think considering that you're not the chairman of the meeting or the village president, your request would be, Mr. President, would you please call the question?
Hold on. Just remember, this is something you're gonna have to live with, because it's the cost of letterhead, it's gonna be a cost of business
That's where I'm
cards.
scared with this. We're rushing it.
Russian it.
Right.
So we did this 2 years ago, and we're here again.
2 years ago was a very, if you want me to go into that long-winded speech,
No.
I will.
Oh, for the love of
No.
God.
Just think how long it's gonna take to get a new building.
Do it next week when he's gone.
We can just end that talk too. That's fine. Keep talking.
That's the cost, there is.
I know there's a cost. That's what I'm saying. If we got it, we finally got it narrowed down. We're like, okay, let's go with this train bridge and this and that. But whatever, let's do it. God damn, people are gonna lambast the shit out of us
Just you as
because
your
they
idea.
cap that ice shanty. There's nowhere to ice fish out here. You ain't ice fishing out there.
warming shed.
Yeah, it's the warming shed.
Then why don't we make it look like a warming shed?
Warming shed.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm trying.
So then the question.
Can you just ask it already?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I abstain.
Are you abstaining?
Announcements.
Alluded to this earlier, but Adam Miller, with over 25 years of service, served his last day with the Village of Hartland on January 1st. So we had a little going away luncheon for him, and he'll be filling a role of a probation and parole officer. So he's out to the Probation Parole Academy in Madison in the near future. Also said Taylor Weiss was given a final offer. She comes to us with over 5 years' experience. Some of that being with Waukesha County Sheriff's Office here in this area of the county. But then most recently, she's been with the Greenfield Police Department for the last 3 or so years. Unfortunately, it sounds like they have to give a 30-day notice, so she'll start with us sometime early February. And then to fill Adam's vacancy, we're doing 3 interviews with the PFC tomorrow night, hopefully.
Are you getting any Big Ben officers?
No.
All right, so the strategic plan continues to move forward. We have a meeting next week with Bruce, on the progress so far. We sent out SWOT analysis to the whole department. We received 33 responses back, which he was very happy with. Some very interesting stuff in there, so when we present that all. Our 2 new hires the last thing they were doing today was their psychological testing. So if everything goes well with that, we should be getting them up and going in the next week or so. We're planning on doing a swearing in at the January 22nd meeting. And so far, both of them have passed everything, their physicals, their physical agility and all that kind of stuff. So looking forward to get them on board. We have a busy couple weeks here with CPR training. We have 2 classes Wednesday and Thursday in Wauwatosa. One of our lieutenants, his company, he works for Hurt Electric, and so we're doing 40 people there Wednesday and Thursday, and then we have St. Charles Ushers next week, and then we have 2 CPR classes that we're doing through the rec department in February. So
T-ball registration is coming soon. That is a program for 4 cares and 5 cares that'll run in the summer. We're hoping to get the ice rink in Nixon Park open, weather permitting, within the next week, hopefully. Status will be posted for that both on the recreation page of the village website and on the recreation Facebook page. The full moon hike is coming up on Thursday, January 25th at 6:30 p.m. in Nixon Park. Hikers will hike southeast to Maple Avenue and then up into the Pembroke Park trails.
The DPW hired our utility clerk. She works 20 to 25 hours a day with these gentlemen here. A week with these gentlemen.
Overtime.
Yeah. So our plow trucks are loaded, ready to go. What we ask residents is tomorrow is garbage day. Please keep your garbage cans out of the road. Unfortunately, it's going to be a heavy snow, so they will get pushed if they are in the road. That is all I have.
And garbage is not pushing off the pickup?
Not
That
as
you
of
know
yet.
Okay.
Just a quick question. In our subdivision, I noticed that some of the trees that are kind of hanging over to the road, they have lights.
Microphone.
They have lights that are hanging down in the road. Now, when you guys plow that, it's just gonna pull it, isn't it?
So we have a wing out in that subdivision, so that'll keep us 10 feet away from the curb anyways. So we don't get right up to, right next to the road with our plow trucks.
Because otherwise I could find out who it is and, okay. I don't want you guys wrecking the plows or anything.
No, it'll be
Okay.
fine.
All right.
Be more concerned about the garbage companies.
Anybody else up here have anything?
Anybody else have any announcements? I have a couple. Well, a few.
More?
Few. So. That sleep out, obviously, that was for the American Legion. Really cool event. It is for homeless veterans, but that's February 9th and 10th. I did get a call from the owner of Citgo. I said, hey, you can come in from the village board, but he did want me to offer that he apologizes to the village, that they made a mistake by $1 a gallon on their sign. I guess he was acknowledged on Lake Country 411. Like I said, best village on earth. You start trying to gouge people, they'll get you quick. But he did want to say that it was a mistake. It's been corrected, obviously, but he was not trying to gouge anybody, so he sent that through. Other than, yeah, it's late enough. Yeah. Everybody got their paperwork in. No one's running against the people on the board here, but in case the people over here, they are up for re-election. No one's running against them, but they did file their paperwork. All the voting this year will be here in Village Hall, but that'll be coming up. We don't have primaries that I'm aware of.
No, April will be here at Village Hall. There is no February 20th primary. The November election will be at St. Charles.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting is adjourned.